Данная эти русские революции должна будет...
Если немцы хотят не истребительную войну, они ее получат.
La lucha armada es el único camino para la liberación.
Patria o muerte.
Les Américains se trompent en croyant qu'en bombardant le Nord, ils pourront gagner la guerre dans le Sud.
Il y en a qui demandent mais où se trouve l'impérialisme. L'impérialisme, regardez dans vos assiettes quand vous mangez les grains de...
Repressing people of color all over the world and on a local level, the police, fascist police, repressing the white revolutionaries as well as the black.
And the reason that this class over here has never did anything to get this class off his back because this is lower, this is upper, this is the oppressed, this is the oppressed.
You asked me to confess to something?
Ayer estuvo el diablo aquí, huele a azufre todavía.
And the cheap labor taken out of these countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
You're tuned into Revolutionary Lumpen Radio with me, your host Shibby. Tonight the headlines are Palestine Action Liverpool Part 2. We get to hear another incredible, amazing story from Rowan and Tom, as well as we go through sort of the arrest process and court, which I think everybody should find illuminating. So if you have taken action before and you haven't gone through court, this is sort of maybe something you can expect. Or if you haven't taken action before and you're curious what it would be like to go through court, this is the episode for you. Follow us and share, it's free to do. Now I'm going to pass you over to Tom, Ella and Rowan. Okay, we were just covering police stations, weren't we, for people who've no experience with arresting things. Did anybody happen to get raided while they were in the police station?
No.
Yeah, so any actions that have been done in Liverpool, that's the ones that have been raided for, like. So what that means is the police would, when you get to the police station, that's like the time when you should share like your details and your address and your name if you want to. Like you shouldn't really tell the police that before then, but when you hand over to them your address or you tell them your address, that's when they could hold you in the police station until they go and do like a full search of like your property and that. So that is something to be wary of if you are going to take action. Just to think that is a possibility. So to get like anything out of your house that you wouldn't want the police to have, or simply even just put it in like a mate's bedroom or something. They can only ever search communal areas and your own room. Say if you share like property, like a flat or like a apartment with people or a house.
I imagine it's more of like an intimidation tactic than anything practical.
Yeah.
Like, have you been raided?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to take all my stuff out, but there was a phone that I had, and I had lost it, and I didn't know where it was, but they found it and took it away. Wow. But it didn't really work anyway, so it was okay. But then, most things I just put in a friend's house. Had people there as well when the raid actually took place, so they can open the door and make sure police aren't being shady and stuff like this, because otherwise they'll just knock your door in, so you got to have someone in.
I've been arrested like a good few times, but I've never had like police come to the house like ever. I think it's generally kind of rare. It probably like So you were raided by Merseyside police?
Only when we were like actually arrested in Liverpool. Yeah. So when I've been arrested in Manchester, whether the Manchester police have gave the call to Liverpool police to say they need to search them, they've just not done it, or they just not communicated. I'm not sure, but
I think Merseyside police are lazy.
I've never been arrested in Liverpool though, so maybe if it had been in Liverpool, then Merseyside police might have come knocking. But like, why? What did you just get arrested for in Liverpool?
Liverpool Arms Fair action.
What's that?
Well, it were what first got me involved in Palestine action, and Tom had already done a bit of stuff, and had a bit of knowledge, and sort of introduced me to it. What was your first action?
The old Albert site in Oldham. Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Or
I'm due to go on trial for it. That's the one I'm due on trial for in April. So that was like a rooftop occupation. That factory's now shut down anyway in Oldham. It's been sold off by Albert to TT Electronics, I think. So it's actually that Ferranti, it was called Ferranti Technologies. That as a business is actually still operating under TT Electronics and is in Rochdale still. But obviously we got Albert to to sell it off through doing direct actions. So that was my first action. But then yeah, we came when the Liverpool Arms Fair was coming. So I think it got cancelled because of COVID in 2021 maybe, and then or in 2020 maybe.
Yeah, 2021 I think. When
and then
did the action.
Okay, a few years after that, or a year later, they were returning to Liverpool, and basically our objective was to just try and like stop it from happening, just using our own like bodies and our own methods and that. A lot of people had done a lot of stuff around it beforehand, like trying to get MPs to send letters, doing like campaigns, like doing like some low level action stuff, like putting paint on buildings and that. That was what people had already done.
Yeah. They were making all the fountains red and stuff
yeah. So there was a lot of like stuff going on around it. But our aim was just to shut it down, just to stop it from happening, to stop it being like a viable business day out for people and that.
Like an arms fair, I've been to like some fairs, I've been to like Gulliver's World, I've been to like, you know, Alton Towers and things like that, but like it's a fair to do with weaponries and military technology, where different nations and different generals from nations can look at the hardware that they could potentially buy for their own military. Why is it like called a fair?
Yeah.
It's like, but like these parasites and that, the fucking Lords of War, they genuinely probably do get fucking excited, you know what I mean? As if a child getting candy floss from a fucking fair.
That's what the sad thing was about it. It was in the M&S Arena, innit? Like in Liverpool, like they advertise like family events most of the time, and they're just like, oh, we've got an arms fair. And it's like are we not meant to have a problem with this, innit? Like how can they just say on the one hand we care about families, kids, come and enjoy yourself in our property, and on the other hand invite all these fucking like absolute muppets in to like share like these like genuinely evil things they've created with all this funding and that. Like to me it just seemed twisted, and it was in Liverpool, and it's like that's offensive, that, to be fair. Like, so
yeah, as Loki said, you can call them arms fairs, but your wars aren't fair. If they were fair, there'd be bombers at your arms fair.
Yeah.
Go on.
Fire in the booth. What about you? So what did you think of that though? Like when you were doing that action, did you know you were going to get arrested once again? And like what did you think of the consequences? Did you expect to go to prison for what you did? Did you expect to get like on tag? Did you expect to get let go? What happened?
It was a tricky one, because at the time we didn't really know what we were going to be doing. We were sort of just thinking like, well, by any means necessary we'll prevent this from happening, and like we I don't know, we wanted to do something, but we didn't know exactly what to do. And there were so many people who wanted to help but could only help in whatever way they could and stuff like this. You know, some people were saying like, oh, I can't actually get involved because it would cause, you know, wouldn't be able to see relatives and so on. And we ended up like, what did we end up doing?
I don't know. Please tell the story of how you got to be on the roof, because it is the funniest story. Please.
Well, fucking right. Well, okay. So as
Set
a
the
crew,
scene.
we all got together as a crew. There were a few of us, and me and Tom was two of that crew in it. And bear in mind that we all had same names as well, so it was a bit confusing when it all come down to it. There were like 2 Toms, 5 Sals, only 1 Rowan, but you know, there were quite a few different people, all same name. And like we basically, all got together, went to go look at the place, and we were looking at it like, geez, this is a massive place, you know what I mean? How are you going to get on the roof of that? And
what, like the M&S Centre? Is that usually?
It's right by it. It was the ACC right next to it, you know, with the Pullman Hotel attached on. Yeah. And so we were looking at that like, that's tall. How do you get up in there? And then at the end of the day, it's attached to a hotel, wasn't it? So we were looking at the hotel, and we saw there was a back bit, like, okay, back at hotel. But hotel is a public place, isn't it? So at the end of the day, you can just go in. So I thought, I'll go in. So I went in. I went right up all these stairs for ages, thinking, I'll find a way onto the roof. Got right to the very top, and there was no way onto the roof. So I was like, well, that's that done now. I'll leave. So I go down a couple of more steps, and I'm like, I fuck going all the way down because I was sweating at this point and like wet through, and like jumped into the first lift I found, but because I'd gone so high up, it was a staff lift. So when I jumped in and pressed like lobby, it spat me out right where like all the staff is doing bits. There's someone in the kitchen and that making food, and I'm like, yo. And then there was this button that
sorry,
says,
I'm late.
Yeah. There was a button that said push to exit, so I pushed it and exited, and I was in the bit where we were looking in going, oh, I wonder how you get in there. And I was like, yo, okay. And there was a fire escape that we were pointing at going, in an ideal world would be on that fire escape. And you could just walk right up to it. So I went right up. And then there was this big scary fence with spikes, and you know like where they make it so you can't climb around because it's too spiky, and if you did you'd be poked. And I went right up to this, and that were unlocked and open. And then I went through there, and then there were ladders onto the main bit of roof, and I was like, oh, it's a bit too close. Nah, that's serious, it's happening. So I went away, and I'm like, got to report back. So I went and reported back. And
came back with some serious knowledge.
It ended up we was in the hotel, and we were like, yeah, we've got an hotel room now. So I stayed in there one night, like to prep and stuff like that. But I'm a home person, so I'm like, I want to go home and sleep in my own bed before I go on a roof. And went home, and then we get a text saying we've been rumbled. And that was it. The rest of the crew has disappeared. We've got nothing of them. The hotel room with all his gear's gone. The police are waiting and all this. So like they put a dispersal order in on the docks.
Tell us about the hotel. Was your gear in the hotel? What gear? Why? And how did you get there?
It was like shady bits of like, I don't know, hammers and spray paints.
Like ropes and that. We were finding some Mission Impossible stuff, like climbing out windows and that.
Yeah. We just like have everything, and then when it comes down to it, you've got it.
I don't know whether you'd be comfortable to say, but how did you get that hotel room? I know, but the listeners don't.
Just an old man with a bit of dough.
What do you mean? I still can't believe it.
And old man is like, well, I want to help out, but what can I do? I don't want to get in trouble. So he just booked us an hotel room.
Damn. Yeah. So like, there's really good people out there though, like, and people do help where they can. And this one person just said, "Oh, look, I really want to help. Look, you need a hotel room. I'll pay for it."
Yeah.
And then that's where you could store the stuff.
Yeah, but in the end, we didn't end up using any of that because it all got confiscated immediately.
How did people get rumbled?
They just got rumbled because I'd been on the, you know, I said I walked right up to the top. There's cameras all the way. So when I come back with all this gear, they're like, oh, that's the same kid. And they'd caught police first time, apparently, because I wore a bit bait. But now, learning curve. I know not to be bait.
Yeah.
And
they expected to find you in the hotel.
Yeah, that was the thing. They get to the door. Yeah, they literally they're waiting for me, and it's not me. And they're like, who are these? But they collared them, took them away, and then they sort of knew something was going to be happening then. So they put dispersal ordering on the entire docks. No one could go there unless you had like reason and things like that. You couldn't be loitering or nothing.
Yeah, they'd already built like all private like security fences around the whole docks and that, like blocked it off fully.
They had like police on every corner in that as well, wasn't it?
They blocked off the dock road, like the main dock road. Like to stop people walking one way around it. So you had to walk a certain way around to get through to town and that.
Because of the likes of use.
Yeah, and
So how did you get up on the roof though? Because I only heard about you having a recce there.
Well, yeah. So we basically they got rumbled, so we had to reorganise, and we were like, well, what do we do now? And there were some other people, they'd already been involved with Palestine Action, done some bits, and they're like, I don't want to get done again and stuff like this. So we're gonna just do a little bit of help. We can distract or maybe go around protesting, non-arrestable. So we're like, okay. You can be a distraction, go in like shout about things, get attention while we go and try and get on the roof.
Yeah, and it worked out like perfect in the end, didn't it?
Yeah,
We were hanging about the site for ages thinking like, what the hell do we do here? Like, there's police everywhere. Like, we just pretend to roll ciggies and stuff. And I swear we walked up to the security guards and was like, oh man, we just finished work and how did we get to town here? And he was like, you've got to walk all the way around. And we as we were walking back around, there's 2 police officers walking towards us with a big group of people behind them, all like making mad noise, like shouting about Palestine, like waving flags, like got flares out and all that. And I think the police come up to us and we just go to them, oh, man, have you got like a lighter for a cigarette? And they're like, oh, no, we haven't. Like, okay, that's alright. We're going, do we have to walk that way to go to town? They're like, yeah. And they go, right, go that way, but just watch out for all the protesters, innit? So we got told to watch out for like people who like were our comrades, and we were like, okay, this is working. Just walk away from the police with our bags and that. We like give a little scouse nod to everyone walking past. And then that was the space that opened up then, innit? So if we didn't run for the fence then, we had no other way. Like we just had to just sprint for this like one security fence, like climb over it, like we went fucking flying.
And this, bear in mind, at this point, it was a fully visual experience. It was like out of body business. We were just being floating on some divine wind through this car park, and then we hit this fence. And this, mate, honestly, didn't you feel it? And we're looking at this massive fence, and we're like, yo, and we're just sort of over the top of that. And Tom took a tumble at one point, but he flipped him back on his feet.
I was swimming through stones and
but it was right way around all of a sudden, and I'm like, yo, he's back on his feet. We're sort of like, oh, okay. And then we hit another wall, and there was we had to climb up onto a fence to get up onto another wall. So like,
and this is like a massive brick, like concrete wall, like.
And by the time you're on there, you're looking down the other side, and it was one of these where it's higher on one side than the other, and we're looking down like, oh Jesus Christ, that's a long way. And I'm scared of heights, so I didn't want to do it. So I'm like there, lowering myself down. And I was dangling on the wall, and then I'm always saying, because of capitalism, right, they've got this sluggish attitude of you need to make things as fast as you can, it doesn't matter about the quality. So this wall's falling apart, because it's not designed to carry no weight, it's just designed to look like a wall. So it crumbles, we start falling down, and then we both landed perfectly. We landed really well. We did like these little rolls, and we're like, yo, okay, we're doing Assassin's Creed now. And we saw the fire escape, and we're like, okay, on the way to the fire escape. But there were a guy sat at the end of
one
it.
security guard standing in front of it.
He's there ready, and he's like, oh, they're here, what do I do? But because we've come rolling in like some badass, he's shitting himself, and he's like, oh, so he just lets us go straight past, and we're running away. And bearing in mind, because of the fall, I broke all my toes, but you don't even know, because you're like, oh, just going. And we went right up to the top. We were thinking, that fence what we come to, they're going to lock that now, not going to be able to get in there. So we had like a little spoon to do some shimmying and weird bits. And then that was still unlocked completely. And then we go up this ladder, then we're onto the top bit of roof, and this was farther than I'd gone before, so I was like, oh shit. And then we're running along the roof, and I'm knackered at this point because we've been running for a while now, and I'm driving, I'm going like and Tom's like, nah mate, you gotta come on. And I'm like, bro, I can't. And then he's like, nah, you gotta. And I'm like, oh. And then I get to the big ladder, and we're climbing up this big ladder for ages, and I'm scared of heights, so I'm only looking up, and we're just like going up to the top of it, and then we made it up to the top, and it felt like fucking I don't know, it literally felt like being on top of the world. Then you're like, oh, we've made it. And police, they come to the bottom of the ladder, and they look up, and they're like, too high that, we're going to have to leave him. We're there then.
I think Rowan fell a kick for the bit. I was just sitting there like a flag around my knees to keep myself warm.
Yeah, I went straight to sleep.
Right on top of the ladder. And like these 3 police officers come up, and they go, and one of them's just proper shivering, like he's nearly going to throw up himself, and he's going, please just come down. And I'm going, nah, he's going, please man, come on, just come down, please. And I'm like, nah lad, like I'm not moving in it. And he's just proper nearly retching.
God, what the police is like scared.
They were terrified of heights as well. So like,
so they had to get up, and they were shitting themselves.
Like, boy, yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And we had like a bit of banter with the climbing squad and all that. Like they were just every time, because there's only like health and safety in it. There's all like the health and safety ladders, and there's like a walkway what they designate as like a path on the roof. And like every time they just come near us, we just hop onto the unsafe bit of the roof and go, mate, like you're literally putting us in danger. And if you don't go away from us now, we could fall through this roof, and that'll be your fault, innit? And they just have to back off a bit then. So it's like we had a good bit of relationship with them, and that is good.
We ended up with negotiators coming out, and they're like, we're playing club, we're here to listen to your demands. And so we're like, stop the arms fair, and they're like, well, they can't stop the arms fair. And it's like, get them on phone, and then they pretend to go on the phone, and they're like, oh yeah, is that so? I'll tell them. And then they're like, oh well, they said they can't stop the arms fair, but if you come down now, you can join the protest on the floor and that. And honestly, and they were doing all this negotiating. It was like a jumping situation, but without the jumping.
Wow, that's
I guess like
that's funny.
Personally for me, that was because I'd done the Manchester action first. Like I hadn't really told my family or not, and was kind of like, I'll like figure out how it all goes, and then like can tell them after I've been through court and all that. And then the Liverpool thing came around. I was like, okay, this is personal. This I just once I'd done that action, like that my parents all found out about it all, didn't it? It was just like a whole like nice relaxing feeling where it was like, okay, I can be honest with them now about all this.
Yeah, relaxing for you.
Yeah, I know.
I had to like, I'd never met Tom's mum before. Getting a call first thing in the morning, like, hello, it's Tom's mum. I'm like, oh god.
And this was because you were arrested, or?
Yeah, because I don't know whether you were still on the roof. No, I think you'd been arrested by that point. But yeah, spotted your dad in the crowd in the protest as well. So yeah, I think I'd only just met your dad once. So that was my introduction.
Tell you what though, I feel like
meet the parents.
I feel like a celebrity with the older generation now though. Every time you see one of the Liverpool Merseyside pensioners, they're all like, "Oh, solidarity!" Like, yeah, man, and they're like, "Yo, it's you from the roof," and you're like, "Yeah."
Well, you're fucking well cooler than any celebrity, well. So yeah, that was funny, and it was funny. It was so funny to me in particularly because like I've had some of them experiences of being retching, like after having to bail, mid action and things like that. And it's true, it's a fun experience. But I also understand like I do empathise with you, and you must have been like scared, that uncertainty, but breaking your toes and still being on your toes.
That's what I'm saying.
For hours
you don't
later.
even know. The adrenaline is so much. Like I say, visual experience. There was no part of it was a present until we maybe arrived at the top, and then I was like, oh, do you know what I mean? And then you just sort of too overwhelming. Like I say, went to sleep in it.
I had to wake you up like as the climbing squad was going like ding, ding.
Lad
was like that, and I was like, Rowan, lad, they're coming, I was like, Rowan, wake up, man. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that's fun, and again, like to tie this all, back into what it's about is like we're having a lot of fun, we're having good conversations, posh memories and things, but like we're not taking away how important all of this action and struggle is for the Palestinians.
The only reason it is enjoyable, the only reason we do get so much from it is because there's so much badness and so much disgusting shit on a daily basis when you're seeing the bombs going off every single day, whether you try to avoid it or not. And when you're doing the action, you all of a sudden feel like you have the power to actually put a stop to some of that.
Yeah, proving it. That's why we have to celebrate all these acts of resistance and talking about them. Other cultures would fucking sing songs about this, what I mean? Just not in ours, but that's true. Okay, cool. So we haven't got that much long. I mean, it's still like fucking 25 minutes, but that's still not particularly long to cover the last bit of the subject. But, we talked about a few of your actions, talked about the arrest, the police station and things, but like, what happens after that? You have got caught. How soon after your action does that come? And what sort of preparation have you got to do for court?
So mine and Rowan's action in Leicester, that happened in March 2022, and our trial started in April 2023.
Yeah,
so
pretty quick turnaround, to be fair, compared to some.
It seems quick, but also long as well, considering like it's a whole year afterwards. But then also, Tom, yours this April, that's taking place 3 years after you took the action.
So, if it goes ahead in April, it'll be like 3 years exactly after I took action. Like,
yeah, I've got another 3 years as well. And what, you had to wait nearly a year?
Yeah.
You feel that was, and you feel like that was quick. You feel like it was slow.
But if the state's trying to say that what we've done is like a serious threat to anyone's like life, it's like we're not like if I'm waiting 3 years in between the trial, I'm not.
Can't be that much of a priority.
You know what I was thinking this before as well. It's like, now that you get to speak about these things because you have been found guilty, there's still so many more experience that like loads of other Palestine actionists can't talk about because the trial hasn't gone ahead. Delaying it means that we can't openly talk about them. Once I've been found not guilty or guilty for any of my actions, I can't wait to fucking tell all you people every fucking detail that isn't compromised the security of fucking individuals or the.
So I guess it's important to say for the Liverpool Arms Fair one, we never actually ended up we never got charged with anything in the end. They dropped all the charges. So we
got absolutely no trouble.
So we didn't even have to go to court.
At the end of the day, that was only aggravated trespass, because we didn't leave when they asked them to, and it wasn't even an arms factory at the ACC. So they're like, well, let them off, they're not coming back. So that was it.
So you can stand up and you can stand up and then be seen in your own community as people who doesn't just talk the talk but walks the walk, and as you found out, not even get fucking charged for anything. So well done. We all need to do the same. So what did with court? What sort of preparation did you do? Did you have time to prepare? Did Palestine Action help you prepare in any way? How long did the trial go on for?
So yeah, our trial took place in Nottingham. Obviously, we don't live in Nottingham, and I think this is actually like a really important thing to know. Like, we have like a huge support network of people. Lots of older people who feel like they're not physically able to do some of the actions, but they want to support in whatever way they can, like in terms of money, in terms of shelter. And we were like housed by a really lovely couple in Nottingham for nearly 2 weeks. They were amazing. They literally feel like family.
Oh, it was gorgeous. It felt like a genuine holiday.
It felt like a holiday.
Yeah. It was, your mate, so you'd done the action where, it was sort of last minute that we ended up with the people, because we were, having the action in Leicester, living in Liverpool, and then trial in Nottingham. And so we just got onto this support network crew, and we're like, yo, can anyone put us up? And like I was saying, this lovely couple, and they had this gorgeous house, and there was a lovely little garden for chilling after the things. And like, she took us down every single day in a car. She took us there, dropped us off right outside so that we could walk right in. Then she went off to park it, and she'd come along a little bit later, and there was someone else there. Jean would be like, oh, on your lunch, she's like, oh, I can pay for this, I can't do the actions, but I can get you your lunch.
And she drove from Derby every day.
Yeah. And then there was just to see us. She wasn't even like housing us or nothing. She just came to see the trial and follow it and make sure we were okay.
And there was people who drove from Sheffield a few days as well. So we had loads of support, like considering we're only in a magistrate's in like a small-ish room. Like, it was pretty much full, like the back. Like, there was like 10-ish people.
Wow. So how long did the trial go on for, did you say?
Like a week and a half?
Yeah, a week and a half.
So a week and a half, and had you not had this generous, supportive couple to look after you, you would have had to get a hotel, pay out of pocket.
Oh yeah. And we were worrying about that for a little bit. It wasn't until we just thought we'd put the question out there, feeling a bit embarrassed and like, oh, we don't want to put people, out of the way and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like the people who put us up, that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting to be able to put somebody up in this situation. That is the support that they can offer. So always put the question out and just ask if there's people available, and if they are, they'll be there.
Yeah, I've actually met that couple. They are amazing. Yeah, they're great. They're proper. caring, empathetic, and more than willing to house people who need it if they've done the right stuff.
I guess that is where even like, you know, we've got like a sign there like Join Palestine Action here. Like people might think, oh, it's all about like obviously it is about the actions, but then there's this whole network of people around the people who are up for doing like stuff like that that one agree with the actions happening, they think it's fully justified as well, and two are up for helping in loads of different ways. Like so like Join Palestine Action doesn't mean if you've got like space in your gaff for people who actually need core support, who need like safe houses and that, then like that's something you can join for as well.
There's so many, and there always will be so many unsung heroes. The people who aren't the actionists, the people who never got arrested, those people who nobody will ever know. There's so many unsung heroes, and so yeah, it's not just about the actionists, but to anybody in Palestine Action, as Ella said, there's a lot of support there for you. If you're not in touch with anybody, just reach out to info@palestineaction.org. Let people know if you got upcoming trials, when it is, and then Palestine Action will continue to support you. And you'll have that court support coming up. You have people in court and maybe help with your travel. But as for the court itself, I suppose that this is the time where everything before that was the police gathering evidence, getting the story straight, and then in court it's about proving that you are guilty of what they accused you of. So would it be conspiracy to cause criminal damage? Would it be
for mine it was criminal damage because of smashing the windows, and then aggravated trespass. But you could argue, like, I left as soon as they let me leave, but like at the same time they wanted aggravated trespass, which means you didn't leave when they asked you to. And then what was yours?
Mine was aggravated trespass as well. So yeah, there was 7 defendants, comrades with us, 2 with criminal damage, and then all 7 of us had aggravated trespass charges. So it's quite a big court case. Like seven's a lot, I think.
Yeah, it felt like a lot. A lot. But like I say, it was pure drama. It was like a courtroom drama. It really felt like fun, and like you'd go in, sit the session, they'd be saying all this stuff, and like, you know, they're really official, aren't they? Bobbing up and down, and like you can only talk while you're off your chair, and they're like they're right fancy to each other. They're putting on these voices, being like,
no wigs though.
No wigs.
No wigs in the magistrates. I know.
He's missed out on a whole experience there. Like
I saw it all.
The wigs are cool.
My learned friend over
here. The learned
so he says like, I'm gonna just start referring to my learned comrade over here. This is my thing, you know. So it's a total pantomime, isn't it? Effectively, what's gonna happen is you've got your defense, and then, as you said, there's a prosecutor whose whole job is sort of present what happened with their version of events and to the magistrates, and then the magistrates should also listen to the defense and then see their side of the story and then judge what actually happened. Can you just talk about what maybe your defense was saying, or if you got a chance to speak, what did you say? What was the prosecutor trying to get at?
Well, I was going to say first, obviously, like the defense the prosecution always goes first, so they like provide the argument as to like why you're guilty and what evidence they've got, and they bring in witnesses. So we had like something crazy, like how many, like 9 different police come in or something mad like that. All the police from the day.
It's quite fun because, you know, you're seeing all these people, you're like, yo, it's been a while.
Literally staring them all in the eyes.
The police come in so many because they've like written a statement on the day, which is another reason why you don't talk to the police.
Yeah.
Because they'll show up in court and they'll have more to say. But go on, sorry.
Yeah. They got in the security guards. It's really interesting when they brought in one of the security guards, the one that was on Rowan's back, and in his statement he was like, this this activist was a really lovely guy. And he was like, just chatting about how lovely Rowan was.
It was really sound. And then the judge, when he comes in, the judge is like, so you say in your statement that he's nice, and he's like, yeah, we had a good conversation. And we're like, oh yeah, go on. Yeah, they all seemed quite sympathetic. I don't know. It didn't feel as adversarial as I thought it was going to be. It were very much just they're giving their point of view, and their point of view is as a security guard or as a police. So the judge sort of knows that, that this is coming from them, and they would sort of make out you to be the baddie. So if they're saying nice stuff, it's even better,
Yeah, like I went to see it, like I was there for your trial, innit? Like in the visitor bit. And like I do generally think that the judge, like, she's all gave like your own like personal stories of like why, and obviously still why he's done what he's did, and obviously spoke a bit about Elvis and stuff and said like, this is why we had to do it with this company. But I think the judge just realised like these are actually a group of like decent like fucking individuals who have like been fully justified. But I think because that judge, I think it's got to a point with the judges where they're actually probably scared and feel quite limited in. So that judge would have thought I have to say that they're guilty because they've obviously smashed windows and that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we were pleading not guilty, but we did do the thing.
Yeah.
I think she had to find us guilty.
Yeah, but she
gave us least punishment she could have done. We had less fines than the damage that we caused.
Yeah.
And other than that, it were one of these. It's not suspended sentence, but
conditional discharge of 12 months, which means if we found ourselves arrested again within this 12-month period, we would be remanded straight to court and sentenced for the new crime and the old crime. I'm air quoting right now. So that, as long as we don't get arrested within the 12-month period, it's sound.
Well, it's beyond that. You have to get arrested and then fully prosecuted. It has to go right through, and then they'll take both into account, I think.
Yeah, sound.
So, what made them actually think that like what you've done it wasn't actually that bad and you're decent people? Did you have a chance to talk about why you've done it? And
he's got to speak.
Fully.
How did the court respond to that?
Well, because it had come after the stuff that the prosecutor had said, like I say, he's coming up with this sort of story of what happened. We could sort of give a rebuttal to a degree, and before you go into it, you don't get coached or anything. The barristers aren't allowed to coach you, but they're like, when we're asking you stuff, give open answers, give a full answer. When he's asking you stuff, the prosecutor, just say yes or no if you can get away with it, because he wants to trip you up. If you don't give him nothing to trip over, you're sound. Whereas when they're asking you questions, they'll be like, so what got you involved in Palestine Action? I went on to give me a life story since 6-year-old till the point of there. Like, didn't I? And I feel like it were of benefit in the end, because I don't know, the judge really understood why we did what we did. Each person, it felt like we say, 7 people, and it felt like a cross section of British society. We had absolutely everyone from every corner of the empire there, and we had Northern Irish explaining how he's been brought up with British occupation and has empathy for the Palestinians for these reasons. We had someone who was Gypsy Jew, who was saying, well, I've obviously persecution on all different sides, and I'm standing here defending Palestinian rights because not in our name and things like this. So I don't know, it did just feel like we were justifying ourselves and saying why we'd chosen to plead not guilty despite having done the thing.
Yeah, because like we're all not guilty, you know what I mean? Like I said, they simply create these laws to protect private property in their own interest, and as threats of violence against us because they got a monopoly of violence over us. But like like morally, like we are not guilty. Do you know what I mean? Like these are guilty of every single crime under the fucking sun times a fucking million. You know what I mean? And the crimes just keep getting bigger and bigger every day. So it's important to standing up in court and be able to say that as well. And obviously it did work in your favour. It's not a bad outcome by no means. I think anybody who like smokes weed or something might be a little sketched out with the suspended sentence, as you're going to be more discreet in that.
I guess it's important to say as well, like with the courts, innit? Like I just obviously it's like you can realise I've gone to court and that, but when I came to like see you in court, like you just realise, innit? They're not even seriously questioning Elbit Systems as like a business. It's not like Elbit have had to stop their operations in that, even in Leicester, while this court process is ongoing, innit? Like, so you can see clearly how like the police, the courts and that are, as you're saying, just an extension of like private property. They're there to protect private property. They're not there to like fully interrogate things. Like it isn't like a scale, like a balanced scale. Like,
and even though it did feel like the judge were on side, we still got in trouble regardless. And have you felt like one of these where if there was a jury there, we could have potentially got away with it?
I reckon. That's the thing about when you do your action, you either get sent to the Crown Court or the Magistrates Court, and because the damage was less than $5,000, that meant that we didn't do enough to get sent to the Crown Court. So the moral of the story is do more damage. Do as much damage as you possibly can, and then you get a jury.
It's a peculiar one. Under 5k you go to a magistrates. There's 3 magistrates in it. Or is it what? Did you have one?
We just had one judge.
We had one judge, but usually we were lucky to get a judge because a judge.
How did you get a judge in a magistrate? Is that normal?
No, she was district judge as well, apparently.
Yeah.
But she
was like
doing this.
She was a big judge.
Yeah.
But she was like so understanding and really like
she's asking questions.
Really straight, like really curious, really strangely like compassionate.
There was a moment, right? So before we started, I'm autistic, and they tell you about that in the court because they were saying you could have a adjudicator or something like this with me, but I didn't end up having that. But it'd been the prosecutor had been sat down all the time because we all had to be on camera, and then as soon as I go into the little box for them to do the cross-examination, he stands up and he's looking down at me going, "Rowan, I hope you don't feel like I'm towering over you. It doesn't feel like I'm towering over you, does it?" And I was just sort of like, well, maybe it's alright, it's sound. And then the judge goes, "Mr. Fielding," and she's like, "Listen, Rowan, if you don't want him standing up, we can have him sit down." I'm like, "That would be alright, that'd feel a bit better." And she's like, "Mr. Fielding, sit down." You know what I mean? She very much was on our side and had the power as well. Well, not on our side, but you know what I mean? It felt like she was wanting to understand what were happening, but then even though she had the power in that room, like Tom's saying, when it comes down to it, she didn't have the power because we were found guilty.
Yeah, it's important to also say, like, our prosecutor was a crook. He was a horrible man.
He was ex-military in this one.
We have this theory that he's like ex-military because he kept using all this military jargon that you've never heard. What is a Bergen? That's a rucksack, apparently.
It was just the army's like backpack, like.
Yeah.
So why do you think that he was using all these phrases though?
Oh, he just wanted to show off, this guy. He was a bit up his own ass, you know what I mean? But then also, it might be that the only people they can get to take these things to court are the ex-military, because he's obviously going to want to defend what he's spent his life doing and all that sort of thing. Whereas I feel like most prosecutors, you're wanting to go after your rapists and your murderers, not your kids fucking smashing windows of arms factories. The literal murderers.
Yeah.
There's a much higher chance of being found not guilty if you
in
get
a
Crown Court. Like, how long have we got? Not too long. We've got to wrap up in the next 5 minutes probably. Is there anything anybody can just think of to throw in first before we do sign-offs? I've got one more question.
Yeah, I guess just to clarify that point I was trying to make was that Elbit Systems is still open while we're in court,
Yeah.
Like while we're going through court, apparently trying to say, while we're going through court saying this company's done this, it's guilty for this. They're literally going to work as normal, still making the weapons that are then going to then be tested on Palestinians and then sold to all governments and armies around the world, which is just a setup as far as I'm concerned. Like they're not even like, the courts aren't there to serve the people at all. Like they're not there for that, innit? So.
But you know, waves of bodies going to these places, shutting them down consistently. That's what forced them to move buildings, close buildings. That's what forces the landlords and associates, the recruiters, to cut ties with these parasites, and also force them out of £280 million worth of contracts from the British Ministry of Defence. Every single time these places are shut down, they're economically sabotaged. As we referred to in another episode, Palestinians have painted the moral of Palestine action in Gaza, shutting down a conveyor belt of coffins. In all likelihood, that wall is being destroyed.
That was something that the judge sort of whipped out during court. You know, his prosecutor was giving us these questions of how many buildings are still standing today that weren't, and you're like, well, that's you can't really quantify. And he's like, and how many people are still alive that wouldn't be? And you're like, well, it's not about that, it's about, you know, hope, and I'm a big believer in hope, and they've got a mural out there saying, you know, what we're doing, so on. And the judge spins laptop round, she's like, Rowan, is this the mural you're talking about? And I'm like, yes, it is indeed, it is indeed. She goes, magnificent. Spins it back round, and apparently she's not meant to do that. The barristers were like, yo, she shouldn't really be doing that, but it works in your favour, so don't matter.
So apologies if that gets the judge.
So we know now, like, all we got to do is just like place fake images on the internet for judges to search and prove that we're right. So we can create anything with AI. Cool. So look, he's been to court. We've still got court coming up, innit? So it's more for you. It's like he's been to court. You have actually been found not guilty. You're still here talking about it. You're still encouraging others to.
No, we were found guilty. We got found guilty.
Yeah. Guilty?
No, he said not guilty.
Oh, did I? Yeah. Okay. Guilty. So what do you say to that though? Like, is that right? Are you still encouraging other people to do it? How do you feel about it? Any reservations people should have?
Yeah, that's what Ellis says. Do more damage, innit? You get yourself in front of a Crown Court rather than a Magistrates Court, and then just tell the truth. You know what I mean? Like, the reason you do your actions is because your heartstrings are being pulled on. So surely that'll pull on other people's heartstrings and all. And with any luck, get you out of it and do as much damage as possible, because the Zionist is the enemy.
Yeah. And also, like, I didn't realise how fun and yet emotional court would be. Like, I genuinely have not felt more powerful than standing in the courtroom, talking about my action with all my mates. Like, it was fully incredible. I like cried once. Tayo sang in the courtroom.
Oh, that was amazing.
Which was unreal. No one stopped him from singing, so he just sang the whole song.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing. Yeah, it's fully powerful. So
yeah, I did want to talk about the emotional element actually, but we fucking had technical difficulties halfway through and took time. But I actually cried, like, in my trial as well, and that was only for 3 days, and I got suspended. So God knows what it would have been like after the 2 weeks that was planned. But yeah, you know, we can talk about these things after they've happened, and you're able to talk about it. But I'm sure that once you're going through trial, that's all that was on your mind. You had a lot to think about, a lot to concentrate on. You had to think, oh, I don't want to make this mistake. I do need to do this. And you're going through it with other comrades as well. So it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
So and like, I didn't understand how emotional you can get during trial until I was there as well. but again, it's another reason if you're listening and you can't take action and things, you can almost certainly go and do some court support, because there's courts everywhere and activists are always going to court everywhere. What about you, Tom? Have you got any regrets?
Nah, I think I tried as best as I could before doing the action to like prepare myself, like for the worst case kind of thing. Just like, because I know I can't, once I've got arrested and it's in the court hands, and I know I can't really, other than tell the truth and be as true to myself there as I can be. There's not much I can control after like the action in it. Like, so in terms, I just kind of properly sat with myself beforehand and was like, you know, you are going to be arrested for this. You may go to court for this. Like, and that ultimately could lead to a prison sentence. Like, and that was just important for me to like accept a bit, I think, because then I just didn't want to regret it afterwards, innit? So like, I just tried to prepare myself as best I could. Obviously, it's still fucking stressful. Like, the courts will try and rinse you if you earn over a certain amount. They'll start trying to take fucking like major dough off your wages and that, like in the form of legal aid, like, and that's just ridiculous, to be honest. But like, there's ways around it, to be honest. If they don't send you a letter, I just don't pay them me. So they gotta beg for your money in it there, like. But yeah, they will take the piss a bit. But I think you should hopefully be with like a fucking solid group of people that you're standing next to, going through the process with. And yeah, there's always people who've been through this before to speak to and that. So
there's always a chance to fundraise as well for legal aid online. If you're an actionist and you need help fundraising, we'll share your shit, obviously, and so will Pal Action.
Yeah, definitely no regrets. I feel like, if anything, all the actions that I've taken with Palestine Action have been the more proud moments of my life, rather than any regrets. You know, even though we're found guilty, even though we've got the criminal record, if any employer asks me about that, I'll be like, oh yeah, do you know how I got that? I'll be buzzing to tell him.
Tell you a story.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like I say, one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah, and like Tom said before, like if an employer doesn't agree with what you did, then why do you want to work for them anyway? I've just started working for somewhere that actually provides activism leave. What? So I can request unpaid time off, but it's recognised that I am like going to do something sick. So if I wanted to go to a protest, or if I wanted to do anything in the name of activism, I can request that leave from my work. And that is how all organisations
so we're all jealous.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's jealous of it. That would be incredible. But that's super cool. People are doing that. I hope that catches on more as more people become conscious as to how desperate the situation is, economically, environmentally, socially. What else is there? In any case,
I'm just trying to think of all words for this.
I was just trying to rhyme for no goddamn reason.
Organically.
Yeah, organically.
Just in the
movie. Okay, cool beans. So what's everybody doing with their lives now? We're all in Liverpool. We're Pal Action Liverpool. But does anybody want to talk about what we're doing there? And
so I think at the minute, there's obviously been like a lot more people who are trying to find ways to get involved in whatever way they can. So I think, especially in Liverpool, it's been quite not like an easy process, but we've used like Palestine Action Liverpool, and like which is built off all of our experiences, like through doing actions and that, to like kind of get people to like the sites, what are connected to like the Israeli military, or to like to Israel in any way, like, so, or to Elbit Systems as well, like. So one was Fisher German, who were the landlords of the Elbit Systems UAV engine site in Shenstone that we spoke about before, and through like all different stuff. So like in loads of cities, people are getting outside the businesses more recently, and that's built off years of direct action campaigns where people have gone on the roofs, like put paint on the Fisher German offices, like shut one down in Birmingham, I think. And after a few weeks of that, like Fisher German come out and said they cut ties with Elbit Systems. So that was like a positive thing, and we're just trying to build on that momentum now in Liverpool, just go after some other businesses. So yeah, it's been good. I think obviously because of like it's been so blatant to see the injustice like all over the news and all over, like it's just in people's minds. I think a lot more people are like drawn to take more like drastic action, like.
And there's no arguing with it anymore either. Whereas, you know, when we were in court, we were obviously saying, you know, how many buildings are still standing and so on. But at this point, it's like where we can see the buildings that are not standing. We can literally point to a genocide taking place.
All the millions of people that are displaced, all of the people that have lost their lives, all the people that have lost limbs, like a child loses a limb every 10 minutes, do you know what I mean, in Gaza right now. Like there is like actual quantifiable data coming out, and it's horrible to even say data, but like this is what horrendously people rely on in courts.
And if a jury finds you guilty for that, shame on them, innit? You know what I mean? Take pride in yourself.
Yeah, we're doing it in Liverpool. We're trying to say if all you can do is march, do demonstrations, you may as well march, pick and do demonstrations on targets that are actively being targeted by Palestine actionists through arrestable actions and covert actions. We may as well just focus on all these together. The combination of arrestable actions, covert actions, and public support is what forces Elbit to lose partners, and it's what forces them to shut down. So we encourage everybody else to do that as well. We're Palestine Action Liverpool on Instagram. Give us a follow. You can give us a message as well and tell us what you thought of the podcast. Does anybody just want to leave the plugs? You can leave any social media, just shout out to certain people, any links you think people should check out.
Don't think so.
Nah, I just hope that everyone will see me sculptures one day, but I'll make sure to get them in front of your eyes and that, so don't worry about that too much.
Yeah, defo, for sure. It's going to be super cool.
Keep watching Palestine, innit? Take action.
Yeah.
Take action.
If you can.
Always listen to Palestinian voices.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call it then.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for listening. I'm your host Shibby, Revolutionary Lumpen Radio. You can find a tree of all of our links where you can find us on social media in the show notes this episode. You can follow us on whatever social media you use, and if you're extra fancy, you got a bit of spare change, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/lumpenpodcast. Once I get to a stage where I can sustain myself on there, then you can see me thrive. And I've been doing alright, struggling, so imagine what I can do with more support. Workers and lumpen of the world, unite.
Protests were going on,
man.
They were going on
nice
for
one,
years.
nice one.
And then Palestine Action started smashing up the gears. And that's when the people got up off of their seats, took their families into town and blockaded the streets. For 3 days and nights you could hear the hammers swing, though no one knew for sure what the future might bring. They knew one thing for certain: these weapons of war must not be sent to the ports they're heading for. They had a note to Elbit Systems: you will be shut down when the sledgehammers of justice come to town. After smashing up equipment and smashing a whole bunch, a lot of folks began developing a hunch. The cops took 3 full days to send anyone inside, and after 15 hours they let the charges slide. It seems the prosecutors understand the climb: British companies aiding and abetting war crimes. The factory in Oldham had to close its gate, and the muralists in Palestine said that's smashing great. A note to Elbit Systems: you will be shut down, and the sledgehammers of justice come to town. All around the country, hammers being swung, showing civil disobedience is stronger than the tongue. Taking action here so the weapons go nowhere, so they don't get sent to the IOF, because we know what they'll do there. And so does the Prime Minister and the men who he supports. selling weapons to war criminals who don't want to go to court, who don't want to face the facts of what they have done, where the bullets go when they're fired from the guns. A note to Elbit Systems, you will be shut down when the sledgehammers of justice come to town. A note to Elbit Systems, you will be shut down when the sledgehammers of justice come to town. When the sledgehammers of justice come to town.